As you guys know, I didn't know this, so not gonna pretend that I knew this.
I
100%.
didn't know it either.
But water boils at 212 degrees
We're such
Fahrenheit.
bad pharmacists.
We're so bad. Or 100 degrees Celsius for everybody else in the world besides Americans.
Hello friends, welcome to Eat, Read, Sleep. Kalina here with my best buddy Tapas, and today we are going to be discussing a book that has really helped our own productivity at work, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
So remember, today, every Thursday we post our group discussion where we go into the book a little bit more in depth, and every Friday we have our short summaries that we upload for you guys to just get a quick gist of the book, so stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah. All right, so let's do it. This book has it all in the title. Atomic Habits, how to create good habits, and then also how to get rid of your bad habits.
So I know I introduced you to this book.
Yes, thank you very much. Has changed my life.
So this book was actually my second book on my journey for self-help. So like what I ended up doing was I came to the realization that I wanted to change some things in my life. So my first book that I read was The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And the second one was this book here. And that's mainly because I had a lot of struggles around productivity at work. I was very unorganized. And I heard that this book really helped out a lot. There was a lot of reviewers that kind of would mention it. And I know it was on a New York selling list like for a long time too. So it was a really good, cool book.
What I really like about this book is that it's just a lot of research that James Clear puts together in a storytelling way that you can really connect with it. And I also really like James Clear's own personal story as to how he got to creating this Atomic Habit books.
Yeah, so a little bit of background on that. So how did he come to create this book? What was his inspiration behind it?
So a very interesting story. In high school early on, James actually got hit in the face by a baseball. And
Yikes.
Yeah, definitely. He described it as a U-shaped hole in his face. And through this journey, it completely changed his life, and he had to make all of these different changes in order to get back to where he started. He loved baseball, and because of this injury, it really set him back in his career, it prevented him from doing what he loved, and so he came up with a system to really get to where he wanted to be the person that he wants to be.
Gotcha. So this book has... It's a long book. It's around 300 pages, something like that. And then on audiobook, it's like around 5 hours. But if you speed it up like how we do,
yes.
I'm a 1.2x listener. You're a 1.8?
1.8. You can catch this book in 3 hours.
It's like listening to a rapper rap through the book.
Yeah, that's how I listen to things, right?
I'm more slow, so I'm more like a John Mayer kind of guy, just nice and slow, get the gist of it. But
I'm Nicki Minaj up in here.
So the Atomic Habits can be broken down into the 4 overarching themes. The surprising power of the Atomic Habits, creating systems, not goals, identify change, so habits that shape your identity, and then the 4 laws of behavior change and how to build the habits from those 4 steps. So the first one was around surprising power of Atomic Habits.
Yes. I really like this one because this is where he introduces the whole premise of the book, 1%, the 1% rule. And what that really means is all you need is just a 1% change every single day. It may not feel palpable, you may not see the change, but if you keep at it 1% every day over the long term, actually it compounds and it becomes something that is really impactful.
Yes. So let's go over some examples that he gave in the book.
Okay.
So the first one was around the flights and destination. Do you remember that one?
Yes. Yeah. So this one was actually pretty cool. He gives the example of if you're getting on a plane, say you're going from Los Angeles to New York, right? You're on that flight path. If you just tip that flight path by 3 degrees, it's very tiny. You can't even see it on the airplane. Right. If you do that, over time, by the time if you fly in that straight path, you actually, instead of going to New York, you end up in Washington, D.C. instead.
Whoa.
And there is that quote in the book that was really, that hit with me, and it's, a slight change in your daily habits can guide your life to a very different destination. I thought that was really powerful, and it really brought home with me how 1% can really make a difference long term.
Yeah, and for all of our financial analysts out there, compound interest, right? So the 1% every single day in a year will be 37.78% better. So like that's, again, you put the investment in, you have incremental changes, and you'll see the outcomes just carry through. And 37% increase is in the financial world, especially if it's crypto, is amazing, right? You strive for that, so that's amazing. Another cool example I like from the book was the water temperature one, right?
Yes.
So, as you guys know, I didn't know this, so I'm not gonna pretend that I knew this. 100%.
I didn't know it either.
But water boils at 212
We're
degrees
such
Fahrenheit.
bad pharmacists.
We're so bad. Or 100 degrees Celsius for everybody else in the world besides Americans. That's when the water starts to boil. Now, when you increase the temperature just a little by little, you're going to see the water just get a little warmer, a little warmer, nothing crazy. But once you hit that 212 degrees Fahrenheit, boom,
Boil.
it starts to boil, right? So it goes from like nothing, all of a sudden incremental change, right?
Yeah.
So again, it just takes that little bit, one by one,
Yeah.
to 1% right there.
So that is the breakthrough point, right?
Yes.
And so that's why it's really important for you to stick with this 1%, even if you don't feel a change, even if you feel like nothing's happening, you just stick with it, and then eventually you break through that plateau, and you'll start seeing all these amazing changes and have it come to fruition of everything you've been working for. You get there. You just have to be patient and stick with it. That's why I really like this part.
Yeah, I agree, and it's one of the main themes of the book as well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who, like myself, who are trying to lose weight, same thing, right? You don't want to go into everything, go 100%, change your diet, change your entire lifestyle.
Yeah.
You'll get results the first couple of weeks, maybe a month.
Yeah.
After that, you just completely fall off because you're not keeping that.
That's what happens when you have like a yo-yo diet, right?
Exactly.
You're really good and then you bounce back, and it's this effect. And unfortunately, it's kind of a fallacy that we have in our society where, we expect these quantum leaps in progress in what we do, and we want to see the results right away. It's supposed to just, you put in the effort and you expect to see the outcome immediately. Yeah. And that's not how it works, right? Unfortunately.
And the more you expect the incremental change to happen right away, the more you likely to be disappointed by it.
Yes, and then more likely to not try again. So, yeah.
I mean, I my own example, when I was dieting, when I tried the keto diet, I lost a bunch of weight. All of a sudden, great. I felt great, but then after that, I was like, that loaf of bread looks really good right now. I really want that. And you start to just kind of hate the diet, and you start to make a big change out of it. And then
because you expect too much all at once.
If I had done it just a little bit, little by little, I would have seen that that shift happen, right?
Success is the product of daily habit, not once in a lifetime transformations.
There you go.
Yep.
Love it. Second part of the book was create systems, not goals.
Yep. And I really like this. He has an excerpt from the book is long-term planning is goalless planning. And when you actually told me this before, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you have to have goals. And it's not that you shouldn't have goals. Goals are really good to guide you and get you in the direction, but it's actually not as important as the action steps to get there.
Yeah.
And not even to get there, just the action steps itself is what's really important.
Yeah. What are the main problem with having goals, right? So the first one is everybody has a goal. If you're in a race, right? Let's say you're in a marathon, the winner and the loser, their goal is to win the race.
Everyone had the same goal,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, everyone has the same goal.
By the way, there are no losers in marathons. Everyone is a winner.
We can
So
go into
competitive.
the whole participant trophies later on. That's a different conversation for today. But everybody has the same goal. But what kind of system do you create to get to your goal?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was the momentary change happens when you hit your goal. So like, let's say you do win the race, or you do hit your goal of losing 10 pounds. What then?
Right. It goes into, that success is very momentarily. You have this high, it feels good, and then after that it kind of goes away. It fizzles. Yeah. What next?
Exactly. Yeah. And then the next one we had was the either or conflict.
Yes. This one I see so often in work, right? And this really is you either succeed and you're a winner, or you don't succeed, you don't accomplish your goals, and you are a loser or a failure. And so often people walk around feeling like a failure, right? I have colleagues, I have team members that feel like they fail at something just because they didn't hit their metrics, or they didn't get what they were supposed to, and they feel bad about themselves.
Right.
And that's not what we should be measuring on.
Right.
It should be the actual progress of getting there.
Yeah, and a good example from the book is around the famous football coach Bill Walsh. So I know you're not a big sports person, Cal. So
I know nothing about sports, guys.
football, I mean, it's American
Football.
football.
Oh, okay, got it.
He took on a team that was a 2-win team, right? And
I don't know what
probably
that
the
means.
one of the worst records in the league.
Okay.
Right? And you play 16 games. At that time, you played 16 games a season. They won 2 games and lost 14. Next year, he took over. And what happens? Same thing again.
Okay.
Lost only two games and lost another 14. Now, he didn't get discouraged by that. He said, you know what? My players are doing their part. They're working their butts off. They're following the system that I've created. And the goal isn't just, hey, let me win a Super Bowl. The goal is, let me create that system in our team so that way we are consistently doing what we need to do every single day. Are we running the right plays? Are we tackling who we need to tackle? Are we showing up to practice every single day on time? Everything's good to go. That's what he measured. Mm-hmm. And so the third season, what happens? He wins the championship.
Oh,
right?
He had a breakthrough.
Yeah. So Bill Walsh had a really good quote in the book. Don't just look at the scorecard. Everyone wants to win, but if you have a good system and everyone's doing their part and making their plays, you will eventually win the game, and the score will take care of itself.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
The score will take care of itself.
Yes.
That's something that we see every day, right? Like we're always so focused on metrics and numbers and like what reporting came out and whatnot. But what I really preach with my team is just it doesn't matter. Just have the right behaviors, do the right things every day, because that's how you create consistency, right? It's so easy to create shortcuts and almost cheat, and get the numbers that you want to. You just get to that goal. But if you're not doing it the right way, you don't have the systems in place, it's not going to sustain. And then you're going to just revert back to the way that was before.
Exactly. And then and again, going long term, right? You're setting it up for long term, not just immediate success.
Yep, exactly.
All right, the third theme that we had was identify change, so habits that shape your identity and vice versa.
Yeah, I really like this one because it's kind of it's a mindset game, right? Mm-hmm. You pretty much, from the 4 agreements, we know that we are in control of our dreams. We get to create what our reality is, mm-hmm. and this is what it is. It's you telling yourself that this is who I am and this is how I'm going to be, and actually following through with it. Yeah,
and it also goes back into having that self-talk, right? So again, somebody who wants to improve their running, so they're preparing for a marathon, right? Mm-hmm. If you just say, I'm trying to run every single day, right? That's one mindset.
Yep.
And when you say trying, you give yourself that benefit of doubt to quit whenever you want to, or you're not going to make progress. Another one is, I am somebody or you can tell yourself, I am a runner. You may not be.
That just reminded me of Yoda. Guys, my 3-year-old daughter loves Baby Yoda. So Baby Yoda, not Baby Yoda, but do or do not, right? There is no try.
Right, and the runner does not have to be Usain Bolt, right? It could just be, I'm just a runner, and what does a runner do? What's a runner mentality? They practice every single day. They're gonna wake up. They'll run for how many hours a day? They'll make the right diet choices, right? Yep. That's the mindset you want to get into. Mm-hmm. If you're somebody who wants to lose weight, think of yourself. I am somebody who is trying to lose weight. If you say that,
I am a healthy person. I am an athlete, right?
Yeah. So you want to have that mindset of just saying, this is who I am. And you will automatically get it right. Same thing with smoking.
The book gives a very just clear-cut example of, for instance, someone that is trying to smoke, right? Yes. Instead of saying, if you're offered a cigarette, oh, no, thank you, I'm trying to quit, you simply just say, no, thank you, I'm not a smoker, right? 2 very different ways of saying it and mm-hmm. 2 very different impacts.
Yep. So I love that so much because, again, it's all about going back into the self-talk and mm-hmm. having that mindset of just telling yourself.
You own it for yourself.
Exactly.
And it feels good to think that way and to be that way.
And then the last theme was were the 4 laws of behavioral change.
Yeah, and this is the heart of the book.
Yes. First law is make it obvious. Second law is make it attractive. Third one is make it easy. And then finally, make it satisfying. So
Yep.
let's go into the first one. Make it obvious.
And this is, before we go into the first one real quick, I just want to point out that James Clear does say that these are the steps of how you build a new habit. These are the 4 simple steps, but you have to have these 4 steps. You can't miss one. All of them have to go together in order to create a habit and for it to be a long-lasting effect.
Yes, agreed. The first one is make it obvious. It's also known as a cue. It's what triggers the brain to a certain behavior. So what's a good example that you remember from this one?
I don't know. You tell me.
So the first one is habit stacking, right? So doing something you do every single day.
Yes.
Right?
I really liked this chapter.
Yeah. One way I've done this in my own life is I'm terrible at taking multivitamins, right? I have ones that have expired because I'll take it for 1 week straight and I'll completely forget. So what I do now is I literally will just put my multivitamin bottle next to my glass of water, and every single morning when I wake up, it's right there. I know I need to take it because I always drink a glass of water when I wake up in the morning. So that just kind of, again, habit stacking. My habit right now is to drink water every single morning. Now I'm stacking the next habit, which is I need to take a multivitamin every single morning too. So you make it together, make it obvious.
Yep, make it obvious. So you are essentially adding a new habit onto an old habit so that you don't really have to think about it. It makes it pretty obvious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah. The second law of behavior is to make it attractive. This is known as the craving part, the motivation behind what you do. So do you have a good example for this one?
Yes. So there was there's a podcast with Joe Rogan, and there was a trainer. I forget his name. I'll put it on the screen. I promise, guys. But he kind of mentions this whole workout phase called flow state, right? Where pretty much he says he expects all of his people that he trains not to be sore every single day. So they work out. He's like, even if they're first-time trainers or if they've worked out for years and years, he's saying you should not wake up sore. Now, how in the world do you do that?
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
So what he argues is that you don't push yourself to the highest amount, right? Every single time you work out, if you push yourself too hard, if you work out too long, you wake up in the morning and you're going to be super sore, and that's going to make you say, "Why do I ever work out? What is the point of this? Like, I feel so happy in the morning. I feel so tired." And you end up skipping your workout for that day.
I love the sore feeling part.
Yeah,
like, yes,
but a lot of people will get turned off. But I know I myself got turned off because if I do a back workout, the next day my back is really sore. Now I'm just like, well, I don't want to do legs today because my back might blow out, right?
I get.
Right. So what I started to do is, and what he argues is, you work out not to your maximum, but just enough where you feel a little bit of resistance, and then you just stop.
I like that. That's kind of that brings it back to the 1% rule, right? Not going all out, hardcore, just a little bit a day.
Right, and in that way you're consistently working out every single day instead of working 3 times a day, 3 times a week rather. So somebody like myself, I will work out 7 days a week for a whole year. And somebody who does get sore will work out 3 days a week for a whole year. You can imagine, I've almost doubled the number of workouts that person has done.
That's a really good point.
Just by doing a simple change. And again, it makes it attractive to work out because I don't wake up in the morning feeling sore. I feel like, I had a great workout yesterday. I don't know. I can push myself.
You want to do it again.
Exactly.
Because you want to feel good again.
That's what kind of, for me, it helps out a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So one part of the book that I really like a lot is where he talks about making the bad habits unattractive.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example from my own life. I know a lot of people struggle with this. I know you struggle with it, myself. Everybody struggles with it, which is social media when you're going to bed, right? So
I actually have a TikTok thumb, you guys. My thumb hurts so much from swiping.
Yeah, and same for me, right? So I was so used to at night, I would just go to bed and I would just go through Instagram, go through Twitter, go through TikTok for the longest time, and I'll tell myself, okay, 10 minutes, that's it, that's big enough. Next thing I know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta wake up in 4 hours. How am I gonna do this? So what I started to do to make it unattractive, and Cal, you know this, I'm a very lazy person. I'll put my phone.
Lazy.
I'm so lazy. I'll put my phone. What I do now is every single night I'll put my phone down on the first floor of my house. So, guys, I'm not a rich person. I have a 3-story townhouse, so I put it on the bottom level so that way my lazy butt has to go all the way downstairs to the first floor to get my phone if I wanted to go through social media.
It's a lot of willpower.
and I would never do it. I go, I'm too lazy. Screw that. I'm just gonna pretty much go upstairs, and next to my nightstand, I have my Kindle, which I just use to read a book. So that just changes a little bit because now I'm making it unattractive for me to go way downstairs just to get it, just to go to TikTok, and my lazy butt's not gonna do it. Instead, I end up spending some time, and if I end up staying up until 1 o'clock reading a book, I feel better about that.
Yeah.
Because then that means
a good habit.
Exactly,
right?
it's a good habit. So for me, that's one thing I've changed a lot, and it's helped out a lot because now I'm making that bad habit very unattractive for me.
Yeah, I like that. You didn't even just make it unattractive. You almost made it nearly impossible for your lazy ass. Like
yeah, exactly. And it helps me in the morning because now when I wake up in the morning, I'm not immediately scrolling through.
Yes,
I'll go.
I've made that change too. I don't check my phone in the mornings
Exactly.
anymore.
It's the best thing ever. So again, changing the habit, making it unattractive.
Yeah. So really important when you're starting a new habit is to make sure you make it attractive for you, but then also identifying bad habits that could be getting in your way,
Right.
identifying the root cause of those bad habits, and then getting rid of them so that they don't get in the way of your new habits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the third law of behavior is to make it easy. This
Yes.
is known as the response, the action to perform. And in this part of the book, Clear emphasizes walk slowly forward, but never backward.
Yeah, so he introduced the 2-minute rule, and I know you have a really good example of this. So, what's the 2-minute rule, and how do you use it?
Okay, so I probably don't want to admit this, but I'm also lazy in the sense that I'm not a morning person. I don't like to wake up early. I probably shouldn't say this out loud. I probably wake up at like 7, 8, sometimes 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm like rushing to get on our WebExes in the morning at 9 o'clock. I'm like, I hope it's not an in-person meeting. But I realized that I was starting to get really overwhelmed at work, so I needed to figure out how to have time for myself. And the only time that I could make for myself, given work and family and everything that I have going on, is really just between the hours of 5 and 7 in the morning. So I had to tell myself, you need to wake up a little bit earlier every morning. And what I wanted to do when I wake up in the morning is to do a bit of yoga and to read. And so what I told myself to do is just 2 minutes. So just 2 minutes of yoga and 2 minutes of reading, and then Kalina, you can go straight back to sleep. And what I found was actually doing the 2 minutes made me feel so much better, and I wanted to do more than 2 minutes. So first day 2 minutes, and then it became 5 minutes, that became 10 minutes, and now I'm waking up, at least an hour of yoga, at least an hour of reading every morning, and I get really excited to do it. So really just starting off slowly, like just do something, but do it.
All right, so the fourth law and the final law of behavior change is to make it satisfying.
Yes, and this is the reward part. And the reward part has two purposes. It is to satisfy and to actually teach. Because the first three laws, the make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, that helps you do it now. This one time you're going to do it. And this last law, actually, this is what makes it satisfying. So it ensures that you do it again for the next time in the future. This is what creates the repetition and the actual habit itself.
Yeah, and when it comes to rewards, human beings love the immediate reward, right?
Yep.
They don't like to wait for something to happen later on. Social media kind of provides us that a little bit, where we get the immediate sensation of the likes or the attention, all that kind of stuff, right? So how do we get the immediate reward from our goals? What can we set up that way?
So you can create systems for yourself. The reward can be very small or it can be very big. I will share for me, I'm very type A personality. I love checklists. I know we are in the digital age where everything is technology, but you guys, I love my planner, my written down planner, and
You guys just see your planner. It's like
I write down my task, and the actual act of checking off that task is so satisfying, so much so that if I've done a task and it wasn't on my list, I will go back to write it on my list so that I can check it off, because that's what feels good to me.
Yes.
And it's a small thing, and that's that goes back to that 1% earlier, where if you don't make it satisfying and you feel like you don't see progress, then you're more likely to give up on it and not stick with it until you see that plateau. So making it satisfying is really important.
And that's one thing that you've told me for a long time, right? So when we work together, you're always like, T, write it down, T. or we'll be planning something out. Hey, why aren't you writing this down? Why aren't we make it into? And that's because you love to do it.
Yeah.
I have really bad handwriting. So even if I write it down, I don't know what I wrote. So one thing that I've learned to make it satisfying is that I have a app called To Do by Microsoft. And it's a really cool way. You just literally go through and you put every single thing that you need to do for that day, right? Prioritize it, importance, whatever it is. I've gotten so to the level where I'll say take or have a lunch,
Yep.
and I'll click that button. It gives you this really satisfying tone, like ding, and it just feels amazing. You feel like a reward.
That's all it takes?
Yeah.
I'll just walk around you and be like, ding.
Like,
help you feel better.
or like, call Kalina for this. Cling. Okay, there you go. That's it. So you're right. It's a very satisfactory thing to be able to have an instant gratification.
Yeah.
And that keeps you on that path. Because again, if you have a delayed one, you say, I'm going to do this. And then from a year from now, I'll be able to do this. You're just going to say, that's a year's too far.
And the key thing here is to find what makes it satisfying for you, right? Because as we can tell, what was satisfying for me was not for T, because I would be like, what the heck is this guy doing? He's not writing anything down. Is he even remembering anything? It was stressing me out.
It's all in here is what I would say. And she was like, nothing's in there.
There were lots of shared looks.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of this is really how do you sit down and actually make a plan and go through all of these behaviors and write down your habits, good habits, bad habits, neutral habits even, and come up with this plan. And I know a lot of people, myself included, I would used to say like, well, I don't have time. I don't have time to sit down and make a plan. I don't have time to do A, B, C, D because we're all running around in our own dreams frantically chasing things, and time is very limited for all of us. But what James teaches us is that if you actually make the time to create a plan based on the 4 laws that he outlines, you actually create more time for yourself. Because what you're doing is you're creating productivity for you, and then you end up freeing more time for other things, right? When you don't have a plan, that's when you waste time because you're spending more time on the go, figuring out what to do, kind of flustered in the moment. But if you have a plan, then you're more efficient with what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think the key thing there is also investing the time into it, right?
Yes,
So like
yep.
everyone wants to make excuses and say, oh, this will take me too long.
Yep.
But in the book, and he also provides a lot of links that you can go to on his
Yes,
where he has worksheets and all this. So he limits that part too. He'll give you the worksheet just for you to go in and.
He's such a genius.
Right. So if that whole part you don't even know where to start, just download the worksheet, write it down yourself, and then you create your plan. And once you start doing it once, you'll find that it's a lot easier to create new systems that way too.
Just move slowly forward,
Yes.
never backward.
Yes.
Right? So in summary, you guys, Atomic Habits, it's really all about 4 things. First, making small steps. That's the surprising power of Atomic Habits. Remember the 1% rule, and that all compounds to create this lasting impact for the rest of your life. Number 2 is to create systems, not just come up with goals. 3 is to remember that habits shape your identity and vice versa. So identify yourself with who you want to be and stick with it. And, just say, this is who I am. And the last one is to build habits in 4 simple steps. And the 4 simple steps are to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
Go.
Thank you all for joining the Eat, Read, Sleep community today. We had a great time talking to you about one of our favorite books, Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you have not read this book, hopefully you guys got some good tidbits and discussions. Be sure to check in with our book summary that we'll be posting tomorrow, and that goes through the meat of the book. And if you have already read this book, we'd love to hear what you think because we purposely left out a lot of other points in the book. We really just discussed what was really impactful for us, but there's a lot of goodness in this book, which is why we recommend that you pick up your own copy and read this or listen to it on Audible. And be sure to join our Eat, Read, Sleep community by clicking on the subscribe button. Thank you guys. See you soon.
Bye guys.